England, where, according to the U.S. media, I've been accused of committing journalism. I didn't believe this.
Good for you, Greg.
Yeah. And I know that Catherine Harris has accused me of being twisted and maniacal, so let's twist. By the way, it's a very sacred night. Tomorrow's a sacred day. September 11th, 9 years ago. My building, it was my office building, by the way. I worked in the World Trade Center, went down. Tonight is also a special night, and I'd like to say happy Eid. It's the end of Ramadan, and I'd like to say happy Eid to my Muslim brothers here. And now get out, because I'm told that if you're within 800 yards of me, it's an insult to any of the survivors of the World Trade attack, including the Muslims that died, that worked with me in that building. By the way, the number of Muslims who died in that attack, 4 times it's the highest concentration of any ethnic group to have died in that attack. 400% of their proportion of the U.S. population. Interesting statistic. By the way, I want to thank, we have giants here tonight. I want to thank the extraordinary John Nichols. I've already taken off my hat to him. I can't do it twice. Jim Hightower. Nice hat, Jim. Senator Feingold. Now, can we in New York borrow him for, a couple of years? We could use a senator. And the wonderful Daniel Kanoye and his poetry. We need it. And especially, the living spirit of Fighting Bob, Fighting Ed Garvey. Please give it up for Ed. Please give it up for Ed. I have to say, I have some ideas, especially because it's so close to me personally. There's something to be said for what those people who are objecting to the mosque. I also believe that, Tim McVeigh, who was a white supremacist, and his terrorism killed hundreds of people in Oklahoma City. I don't think we should allow white people into Oklahoma City. Come on. Can you imagine the feelings? The people there? At Ground Zero used to be a Lenape Indian territory, and thousands died there when the Europeans came across. I don't think we should have churches there either, then, unless the Lenape agree to it. Now, but the thing is, if a mosque, now think about this, I've been thinking about this a lot. If a mosque is a bad idea near Ground Zero, then we shouldn't have any Muslims near Ground Zero. They should but how do we stop them? The answer is you make every Muslim in New York wear a little yellow crescent. I know that the ADL doesn't want the mosque there, so maybe they should take that up, suggest that. Now, they're going to rebuild the World Trade Center. They now call it the Freedom Tower. And it's going to replace what was there, except more shops, off-track betting, the OTB counter, TGI Fridays, Victoria's Secret. That's how we're going to honor our dead. By the way, you know what Victoria's Secret is? She's an Islamist. I know, I'm an investigative Victoria. So anyway, I have an idea. I've been, speaking to my Muslim brothers, and I've suggested, as a kind of compromise, that you, in the spirit of the new Freedom Tower, that you disguise the mosque like like those TGI Fridays and the off-track betting places, and so that where they have, every Friday night I used to go in the World Trade Center and see the guys there at happy hour, the secretaries. So you make a mosque where you pretend it's a place that you can gamble and get into your secretary's panties. Or, right? TGI Ramadan. Or, you know, high fashion kind of thing, you know, Kate Moss. You know, one of those, they used to have the Disney shop there too, so we can make it Mickey Mouse, you know. That's how we're honoring the dead. By the way, you know what's interesting to me is that several new churches have been built near Ground Zero in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Interesting, though, that Nagasaki was not the target. I looked this up. But there were clouds over the original target, so they went to Nagasaki, which had the biggest Christian population in Japan, and the bomb landed right above the largest Christian church in Asia. So you know which side God was on, right? But they've invited, nevertheless, Americans to rebuild those churches at Ground Zero, the real Ground Zero. I gotta tell you, I personally don't want a mosque near Ground Zero. I want it in Ground Zero. I want it at the top of the Freedom Tower. And I'll tell you why. Because when it goes down next time, we're all going together. Now, by the way, I wanted to pick up on one thing that Senator Feingold said about the Citizens United case. You know, I know the senator's worried about Exxon buying our elections and Monsanto buying our elections. Hey, that baby's left the barn, Senator. They already buy those elections. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about AQ Incorporated, Al-Qaeda Incorporated, which now has the right, for $20 registering in Delaware, to give millions of dollars into a campaign, Sarah. You know, she's the one who says that Muslims go to Ground Zero as long as they shop and not pray, right? Yeah, so it's Al-Qaeda, it's the Chinese oil company, it's the Medellin cartel, Inc. As long as they add Inc. at the end, it's okay for them to give into our campaigns under the Citizens United law. That's one of the things that hasn't been discussed, is the amount of hidden foreign money. And the reason we do allow Exxon as a PAC to give into our elections. It makes me puke, but we allow it. But there's one thing that Exxon must do. It must list all the people who put into the fund, and they must all have something in common. If they're going to put money into an election, they have to be an American election. They have to be Americans. They have to be citizens. What the Republican Party did is say, we don't want no stinking immigrants crossing the border, but they can donate into our campaigns, don't we? Oh, God. I showed that film about Chevron. There was a lot of